You're listening to Gospel Reign, where the truth, authority, and power of God's Word take center stage. Join Dr. Matt and Dr. Micah as they dive deep into the great doctrines of the Christian faith, explore how the gospel transforms our world today, and reflect on the stories that shape our walk with Christ. We hope you enjoy this week's episode of Gospel Reign.
Gentlemen and ladies, back by popular demand, the Gospel Reign podcast.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. You know, they probably haven't missed us, if we're being honest. It's been a while. We want to tell that story.
We've missed it, though.
Yeah, we have. We have.
I've missed it.
A lot has happened since the last episode that's kind of dangling out there in cyberspace somewhere, which was about, literally 5 years ago?
Yeah,
Something like that.
when it ended up. So it's been a long time since we've been behind the microphone, kind of with each other to do this kind of thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
this is new. Prior it was just audio podcast. Now we have camera capability, which I think is awesome. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Everybody else, I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
audio may have been okay, but now they got to look at us.
This could make it infinitely worse. Like, I don't want to look at these guys. I don't. Their voice is already scratching my soul. Yeah. Do I really want to look at their
it
face?
was okay if it was just audio. All right, so what we want to do, welcome back to the Gospel Reign podcast. So we're kind of jumping in. This first episode, we want to share with you kind of the beginning of Gospel Reign. Some of our folks are not familiar with this whole thing. To us, it was a big deal 9 years ago, something like that, when we started the podcast. And so we thought it'd be fitting to kind of tell the story. Like where did GBC or where did the podcast come from, Gospel Reign? But then that's now kind of connected to Germantown Baptist Church.
Right.
And some people don't know that story either.
Right.
So
some things have changed.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed.
A lot of things have changed.
So let's talk about it a little bit. All right. So for those who are not familiar with the Gospel Reign podcast, we got started about 9 years ago. We don't have time to tell that whole story because there's a lot of parts and pieces to that. But let's go back. Let's revisit that, all right, real quickly so people will know kind of the genesis of it.
Yeah, boy, it's even older than that. The podcast is 9 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But prior to that, I was working at Lifeway Christian Resources in Nashville. At the time, I was in young adult publishing, and I had picked up a book by a Christian author, and the concept of the book was start. You know, just if you've got an idea and you're sitting on an idea, it's never going to go anywhere. Just start and see what happens. It could crash and burn. You could learn some stuff, tweak some stuff, but just get started. And I had this idea to start a blog. Blogging back then, we're talking, 2009, 2010, something like that. A lot of people were blogging. I was like, I don't know, who wants to hear what I have to say? That was the biggest hurdle for me to get up. Nobody. But I started it, and I came up with this Gospel Reign, for the preeminence of King Jesus. I thought, well, that's kind of cool. And I did a search. Is there anything out there, Gospel Reign? There wasn't. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I started blogging just weak sauce, probably. Just early stuff. I don't know.
No, wait a minute. Now, okay, let me go back. So 9 years ago, when we kind of started this whole thing, 10 years ago, I looked at that website because you told me about it. We'll get into how all that kind of happened in a minute. But I went back and looked. There was almost nothing on there.
Yeah, see.
I mean, you had like a few blogs.
A handful of things.
Yeah.
But I started.
Let that be a lesson, right, to all of our listeners, watchers, whatever you call them.
Started.
Now, was that like a big deal to you before? Like you were not a good starter before, and that you just kind of
maybe. I mean, I think since college, seminary, those kind of things, I had developed an aptitude for writing. I think I'm a decent writer.
Yeah, you are. You're
and
a good
so
writer,
I think the way I think about stuff and communicate that in writing had written some articles, some other things and I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. This is a little more pop level. It's not academic, which I like. So I tested some of those things with some folks in Lifeway and some friends, and they're like, man, you should continue doing that. So I mean, it was all on me. I was searching for the graphics. I was doing the WordPress stuff behind the scenes, widgets, and all this. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was having fun, and I started it. I didn't do a lot with it, and then I left Lifeway to take pastorate in Ripley, Mississippi, First Baptist Ripley, and that's kind of where our story picks up, because by the time you and I start really kind of forming friendship and ministry partnership in North Mississippi, you were communicating to me. You ever thought about doing a podcast? And I'm like,
so hang on. So go back and pick that up. So you moved to Mississippi. I was already in North Mississippi. I was already a pastor there. I can't remember how long I'd already been there. Years already. And so I heard you were coming to town. I don't know how I found out, but I heard you were coming about, that's 20 miles away from where I was.
Right.
In Booneville, Mississippi is where I was. So I heard you're coming back. And so for those who are not familiar with us, our podcast, we went to college together at Blue Mountain, which is now Blue Mountain Christian University. Blue Mountain College back in the day. And so that would have been 97, 98, 99, right around the late 1900s is when we were in college.
Yes.
So it was back in the day, okay? So we were in college together, but we didn't really run in the same circles. Knew each other. I knew you. I think you probably knew who I was, but that's pretty much it.
When you came to Blue Mountain, you were already married, correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yes.
And I wasn't.
That's
I don't
right.
think. At least 97 I wasn't. I married in 98.
Okay.
So
I showed up in 97. I graduated. I had already had some college behind me at community college. So when I showed up in 97, I graduated in 99. You graduated before I did. You graduated in 98?
98.
98.
Yep.
Okay. So we ran.
But I remember you, jet black hair.
Yeah, I was.
I remember.
No facial hair. Couldn't grow anything.
No. It was great.
We were kids.
But you're
man.
right, though. We did kind of run in different circles. It was still a small enough college with what we were doing in ministry studies, vocational ministry studies. I mean, we're talking about, 60 some odd men that are studying Bible and stuff. So it's a small enough. We're going to kind of know everybody.
Yeah.
That's there, and that's true.
Yeah, we sat in the same class, a few of the same classes, although you were at a higher level than I was by that time. But so that's kind of how we got to know each other. Well, we went our separate ways. You went to seminary, I went to seminary, life, all that kind of stuff. We just totally disconnected. So when you moved back to Mississippi, I caught up with you, found out you were coming just because I knew your name, reached out to you by email, just said, hey, I think it was email.
It was, yep.
Were we even texting back? Yeah, I guess we were texting back then. But email and just said, hey, I heard you're in town. Let's catch up for coffee.
Yeah.
Or wasn't coffee
Which
back
made
then.
it.
I didn't drink coffee back then.
Well, but I knew what you were saying.
Yeah.
Let's get together and hang out.
Let's catch up.
That really, and that's another lesson to be learned. That really meant a lot to me. I mean, it really did. Because
just the email?
Just from a local area. We were actually in different associations in the pastors that in the church we pastored. So, but nobody had reached out to me coming, and you did, and I thought, man, I'm going to take advantage of this, that you took the time to reach out to me. Let's get together, and if nothing else, we're going to pray together. We're going to talk about ministry. We're going to help one another. But it developed into a friendship, like-mindedness. I think we both began to pick up on that. Some of our kids were the same kind of age.
Yeah.
And I mean, as that developed, I remember Nason. Y'all don't see Nason. He's behind the production booth here. But Nason and Ben ran in same races and cross country. So
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was just a real sweet season. And then you preached in my church, I preached in your church. And then this idea came up, let's do a podcast.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I think I pitched the idea because I kind of a dream of mine at some point, but who's going to listen to me, right? You're talking about who's going to read
question.
It's it's imposter syndrome, right? Nobody going to listen to me. Nobody going to care about what I have to say. But I kind of brought the idea to you and said, have you ever thought about a podcast? And then you said, well, I've already got a website where I do blogging, and I didn't have anything like that. And I thought, well, what if I do the podcast stuff, the technical side of all that, get all that done, and just sort of hijack your website, and let's just call it Gospel Rain. And so that was the genesis of it. We just said, let's go for it. And
I would say that the genesis and the success of the Gospel Rain podcast was because you were at least willing and able to do the technical side of all the. I mean, truly, you got all the equipment. we would set it up, we'd get it all plugged in, everything ready to go. And most of the time we would talk through potential topics and stuff. You'd always come so prepared. And I felt like such a slug, man. I would just show up with my Bible and sit down and
Not
like
true.
just
See,
let's just
and
talk.
still to this day, you're the brains, I'm the brawn. I just kind of figured it out technically and just counted on you
awesome.
to be the brains. It was a lot of fun.
It was, and it worked so well. It also gave us a little, I think you'd agree with this. It gave us an opportunity, almost like a little sanctuary in the midst of any given week. We're like, we're gonna dedicate 2 or 3 hours to do some episodes, put them in the can, and then we might go play golf, or we might go fishing, or we might go have lunch, or something like that. And it really, in the rhythms of local church ministry, it became a really sweet thing to do that with you, and also say, man, I'm doing something I love, doing something I like with somebody that I like. Yeah, and it worked really well.
So we both seminary degrees, both have PhD in systematic theology from different seminaries. But so we had a lot of things in common already. It was kind of a common thing to really want to talk about theology. Let's have conversation about it, right? So we were already doing some of that anyway. What do you think about this? What do you believe about that kind of thing? And so it was like natural then to go, okay, well, let's put that on a podcast. Let's do this together, so that other people can listen in on these conversations. And maybe that can be a kind of a teaching tool.
Right.
So that's why we sort of did it, is for the sake of our local churches. If they will listen, maybe it can give them some theological conversation around listen to us and get something out of it. So that's why we kind of did it.
And I would say that I did have people in my congregation that would listen to it pretty faithfully.
And I did too.
It probably wasn't wholesale for the church. I don't think everybody bought into it.
No.
But I would hear comments from church members, that episode, this, that, and the other. But we started hearing more from other pastors and ministry leaders, friends that were around the country or whatever. And even if we did an episode that just as it's posted, it's got maybe a catchy title or a provocative title, that we'd find that, man, there are people around the world listening to this stuff. And I'm like, can you believe
I know.
that?
We got emails from Australia and other places like in Europe. It was like really cool. You get an email from somebody listening in. They found it somehow, don't know how, and they would ask questions. Like you said something about baptism, and so I'm thinking about that. And so anyway, it's really cool. So
awesome.
we did that for about 3 years, something like that. We did about 80 episodes of Gospel Rain. I think I'm right about that. So 80 episodes on all kinds of theological topics across the board. So love doing that, but we had to bring it to an end. Yeah, that was kind of a sad thing.
Well, it took a punch to the gut with COVID. COVID messed everything up, everybody. And so we had to table that. We couldn't get together, all that. But we were able to come back and do some more after COVID had kind of run its course a little bit, where people could still maybe social distance but get together and whatnot. But then, to bring us kind of to where we are sitting in this room today, it was around the end of 2020.
Yeah, well, it was 2021, summer of 2021. We had already we were trying to get back into the groove of Gospel Rain. And then the summer of 2021, God called me and my family away from Booneville, Mississippi, and so called us to Germantown Baptist Church in Germantown, Tennessee. So that's where we're sitting now. I've been the senior pastor here since then. So it's been 4.5 years. By the time we're recording this, it's 4.5 years that I've been here as the pastor. And so you stayed in Ripley, and for a little while longer. Yeah,
for another 4, 5, 6 months maybe.
Something like that.
I'll tell you what's interesting, though, and this is a really sweet connection with that. I didn't know that you were talking with Germantown Baptist Church about coming up here. I was actually visiting a friend in Georgia, and I get a phone call from you.
Yeah.
And I'm outside, and I'm like, what's going on, man? And you'd say, well, I need to bring you up to speed on something. And so you did. And I was like, man, that's great. And you said, and I put you down as a reference. So you're going to be getting a phone call. And I'm like, awesome. And I did. I got a call from the committee.
You did, really?
Had a great conversation.
I remember that.
Yeah, and told them the truth.
Okay.
And, and it was good. It was very positive.
Well, that's interesting. I had not realized that. Or maybe you told me and I forgot about it. So I've been here. You left Ripley to go to into the academic world.
To go to Fort Worth, Texas, to join Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary and very quickly get connected to the undergraduate program, Texas Baptist College. It's had a couple of different names, but by the time I got there, Texas Baptist College was the name. And I was hired to teach theology, and I was there maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks, and the dean of the college transitioned to be the provost of the seminary.
Mm-hmm.
The associate dean became the dean of the college, and they asked me if I would step into the associate dean role, administrative role at Texas Baptist College, which was an honor. I did that, loved it.
Yeah.
I loved teaching at the collegiate level, and so yeah, that was I started January 3rd, 2022 on that.
Okay.
So I was there in Fort Worth for 6 months without my family. They were finishing up stuff here in
that's
Mississippi.
right, in Mississippi. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so they came in June, and we were off to the races. And there's a lot of story with that too, the transition of leadership at the seminary and the college. And but I stayed. Still love the school. Still actually affiliate faculty with the seminary. And love it. Love the kids in the college and the students there as well. Seminary is important to us anyway.
Yeah.
I think, and so
You had a great ministry there. I mean, you had
think so.
a great opportunity, and you're so good at that anyway in the academic world. And that was kind of a great fit for you. And then I tell you what, we ought to do is an episode on kind of maybe we can't do it all here because we're really talking about intro to Gospel Rain, but kind of that world, that transition in and out of that world, and then kind of the whole conversation around you
great.
Coming to Germantown, all that. So I didn't even catch this up.
Well,
so,
that becomes. I think we should do that as well, because I think you and I both, in that process of talking about what that might look like and was God in it, and how the Lord was speaking to you and to me, and
that's a good idea.
And how the process unfolded. It's just a beautiful story.
It really is. It's an emotional story, too, because
Yeah.
we prayed a lot, cried a lot together through that whole process. It took us a while. But anyway, we'll talk about maybe that in a different episode.
In an upcoming episode where you and I will probably talk about the relationship of senior pastor, executive pastor, maybe we could do some stuff in that, because that's relevant.
That's a good
because of
idea.
how we approach the conversation and the things we were reading and stuff like that. Maybe that we could do that.
Okay, so we fast forward through your time at Texas Baptist College, and you end up at Germantown Baptist Church.
GBC,
How
baby.
cool is that? So God did a big thing. And
that was June 2024 I came.
Yeah, so a year and a half ago.
June 2024.
Year and a half ago. So I've been here 4.5 years. You've been here a year and a half. So the conversation was brought up not only by us, but other people when you came here to Germantown Baptist. We're going to start the podcast. And we're like, I don't know. Is it the right time? It's good. We're both really busy. And we have other things on our plate, too. I mean, we got a lot of other things that we're doing. So the conversation was brought up. Are we going to relaunch?
We started hearing that enough from enough people.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of set us back and said, wait a minute, there are actually people that listen to Gospel Rain.
Yeah.
And so that was cool.
Yeah, so we started a long time ago, months ago now, started thinking about the conversation. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Do we want to do this? Would it be beneficial for our church? Would it be, and whatever. So that was a long, that was months
ago.
Months worth of talking and planning and all the kind of things, because it's not easy. I mean, it wasn't even easy back then, 10 years ago, but certainly now it's not easy because of all the other things that we have on our plate. But we felt like it matched part of the values of Germantown Baptist Church. One of our values is to grow in Christ. And so we felt like, okay, this is a good platform maybe for us to help our church members grow in Christ. And so let's do that. It gives us another platform to teach the Bible and teach theology and those kind of things.
You do a good job with this as senior pastor anyway, but it somewhat is a risk, and I know it is, but you bring other staff pastors to preach in the church, whether it's a student pastor, executive pastor, whatever. And that can be a risk at times, but I think the church very quickly received me and accepted me as a pastor, and as I was preaching and continuing to preach, and I probably preach more than most pastors outside of yourself. I think that's probably fair. And it's all good feedback, and so I think that trust was building, that you didn't make a dud for a hire in this role. And wait a minute, executive pastor who can preach?
Yeah. Yeah.
and like not you're.
Yeah, and
like,
sometimes that's not the case.
it's
right?
not always the
Yeah.
case. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So,
it
yeah.
was kind of that relationship was already there. That, like you said, already had some trust built into that, and so we're able to kind of communicate in certain ways. We do a Wednesday night Bible study together now. We do it kind of like this. It's a little bit of a conversational Bible study, which is
a lot of
also
fun.
rare. I don't know of anybody else that does that. And we thought we'd give it a shot, and it's worked really well.
It has.
Got a
It
lot
has.
of great reception from that kind of Bible study on Wednesday night, where we teach, but it's conversational, just kind of like the podcast. So we now are deciding to let's do it. Let's pull the trigger, launch into Gospel Rain again. So it's kind of like a Gospel Rain
love it.
reboot, right? But we're in the
Reboot.
same location now, and your office is right down the hall from mine. So
Yeah.
that's
love
pretty
it.
cool. It's
Love it.
It's pretty cool. All right. So, with this Gospel Rain podcast, what we want to do, and so for those who don't know about Gospel Rain, what this is an opportunity for us to teach, teach theology, teach the Bible, teach about ministry, talk about pastoral ministry, because we're both pastors, talk about things that are relevant in our culture, family life, all those kind of things. And so it's just kind of a real podcast with just two guys that love the Lord, love the church, and we hope that kind of what we know and some of our experience, that kind of thing, can benefit the body of Christ. And that's really what this
Very
is
well
about.
said. And we'll try some different things from time to time. Like we'll interview different people on a variety of subject matters. That I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and we've got some
back
ideas
in the
for
day.
that.
Back in the day, interviewing somebody was not that easy because our whole setup was portable. So we would go to your church and I would set it all up, and then we do it, and then I'd tear it all down. Or we do it at our church, and then we'd set it all up, tear it all down. Or we often took it to a conference, or we even did it in a couple of hotel rooms. We set it all up. We got this whole thing, microphones, and we're like in a hotel room or somewhere else, just at a conference or something. In a classroom, we did an interview in a classroom. So that was really hard to do.
We had some
back
people
then.
call in. You remember? I can't remember how we integrated it into the podcast itself. Whether or not the phone was like right. I can't remember. But and the phone, it would lose service and it would get all staticky and stuff. And we were learning. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But
So this is kind of fun now because we have a studio, podcast studio, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I let the people they're looking at us in the camera, not seeing that my oldest son, Nason Brown, is the producer of this podcast. So he's sitting right there, right behind the camera, and got all the stuff in front of him, and it's not portable anymore.
No,
it's
it's not.
like a booth studio kind of thing.
he's like a mad scientist back there.
Yeah, he's running all the buttons and everything, screens, everything. So he's controlling that as a kind of a producer. So the setup is a whole lot better now. We can interview somebody and
really,
those kind of
really
things,
fun.
which we have plans to do. So so just kind of give people kind of a little bit of a launch into the future of what's coming, like what some of the things we're going to talk about.
Some of the things that I think you're interested in, you're reading about, I'm interested in, I'm reading about, as we kind of interface on those things. We want to, and I think you said it really well. We're interested in theology, Bible, practical ministry, but we're not disconnected from culture and world kind of stuff going on. So like AI. How does AI affect ministry, pros and cons?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a few weeks, actually. Yeah, that's a topic coming up.
I mean, I feel like I'm probably out of my depth on that. You might feel the same, but it's worth having a conversation about it. Who's talking about that?
Yeah.
And very, very important. Some theological stuff like, does God hate people? That's going to be a very interesting.
That will be a very interesting.
It's already kind of outlined a little bit, and it's really good, provocative, intentionally. I think.
So that's actually
really
episode number 2. This is number 1.
Yeah.
That'll be episode number 2. Does God really hate people?
Yeah. We'll talk about the
we'll
theology
talk
of
about
worship. Interviewing our worship pastor, Ron Norton. That'll be coming up. I can't remember what episode that is, but all of that, man. And then it'll just continue along some of those themes, and then. Because of where we are, and when people come through that we have a chance to interview in person, we'll do an across-the-table kind of format with them, and in their world, what they can, and it doesn't always have to necessarily, because I think you and I, and we do this in our own podcast, but we invite that from people as well. there's a lot of personal stuff too. Like, Ron's an Alabama football fan, for example.
It's kind of sad. It's really kind of sad.
I can't. Yeah.
They got murdered in the last game that they played. It was kind of fun. It's kind of fun to watch.
I know.
But anyway,
I know. So,
it's sad
but
for him,
personal stuff, family stuff, that's just real life, and we love him too, and we work well together with Ron, and he's such a friend, and man, I want to hear him walk through a theology of worship and how practical it's implemented into the life of the church. I just think that's valuable for so many.
That's going to be a fantastic discussion, because since I've been here, I can't count now how many opportunities we've had to talk in his office, my office, about theology of worship and what that means. And with Dawson too, our instrumental worship pastor, very astute when it comes to theology of why we do that, why we worship. It's great.
Well, and there's a practical payoff too, because we all receive emails all the time about why we do or don't do certain things in worship, or why we allow or don't allow certain things in the rhythm of worship.
Ooh, that's good. We ought to ask some provocative questions.
To Ron?
Yeah.
100%.
About why don't we do 100%. This kind of thing in worship?
Mm-hmm. Put him on the hot seat.
Let him answer it, not us.
That right.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So we got those kind of things. We got all kinds of theological topics and discussions. It's just a long list of things that we want to cover. And so our plan is Gospel Rain is going to run every week, and so you'll be able to pick it up wherever you get podcasts. So it'll be Apple Podcasts and Spotify, which I'm not a Spotify guy. Are you a Spotify guy?
I am Spotify.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Never have been.
Both Apple and Spotify. And to a lesser degree, YouTube, which you will have that as well for the video content. But I just noticed, speaking of Spotify, when I pulled a podcast up out driving to Texas over the Christmas break, everybody's snoozing. So after hearing you preach, I worshiped with my church family over the phone. But I turn on podcasts, and they have the capability to play the video on. You think you're listening to a podcast, but you can actually translate it by a click of a button to the video cast or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Well,
I was really impressed with that. And I don't know
does Apple do that?
Does
Nathan, does Apple Podcast do video?
That's a good question.
I'm not even sure.
But I know Spotify, it's interchangeable. It's interchangeable. It's cool.
I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that. So it'd be different places. You can. I guess you find it on social media. You can go to GermantownBaptist.org. I think you should be able to find the podcast there, correct? Yeah. Thumbs up.
Gospel Rain.
Gospel Rain, yeah. So a lot of places you'll be able to find it out there. So that at least it's accessible, both, and it'd be kind of an audio format and video format. So if you'd rather just listen, like not even look at us, you can do that.
We'll try to promote more of the episodes and the things going on social media. I mean, we have Facebook, Instagram. I don't even know if Twitter's even relevant.
No,
it never really was back then for gospel. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Nathan?
What'd you say?
We have one. But it didn't seem like the audience was really connecting on Twitter, but certainly Facebook, Instagram, and whatever
Twitter
else.
is a dumpster fire.
Oh, yeah.
Can we get into that? No, we shouldn't. But, man.
That'd be a good segment.
It's angry, mean, violent.
I don't have it
it's
anymore.
Everything. Whew, man.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I mean, it was affecting me emotionally.
Okay, I remember having these conversations with you, and you're right about that.
And I didn't realize it. Man, I was just sour. And my wife Meredith said, why don't you just take a break from Twitter? So I did. I gave it up for like 5-6 days, and I was a happier person instantly.
I remember that.
I said, I'm done with that.
I remember that. Yeah. So we were on Twitter, but I don't know whether we were getting there was any traction on Twitter. But I just know I got tired of watching.
But multiple
Twitter.
Entryways to seeing what's new and what's coming, what's going on.
Yeah. So all kinds of things like that. We've talked about future projects, and we're going to be talking a lot about that. Again, like you said, on social media, you'll hear some things and see some things from us in the days and weeks to come, and that will at least be able to help you kind of connect with it out there. So that's who we are, man. Gospel Rain. We're back. Let's go. Welcome back, brother.
Welcome back.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right, let's end with a segment. All right, so at the end of the Gospel Rain podcast, we always like to end with a certain segment or a kind of different segments. We have different segments for different things. So today we're going to end with this is totally new for
a new one.
For our Gospel Rain listeners. This is kind of a new one. And I came up with this one just, I don't know, a couple days ago. Thought this would be fun. Here's the segment. Ready?
Yeah.
What are you reading?
What are you reading?
Yeah. So what are you reading right now?
Yeah.
And I got a couple things, but what are you reading right now that's I don't know, fun for you or relevant, or it doesn't have to be Bible theology, but what do you
Well,
read?
I will say that it's not a resolution, but this is funny how in the life of our own local church, Bible reading, I said some things from the pulpit and people really latched onto it. But I'm starting a new Bible reading plan I already have with the Navigators, and it functions of I read two different portions of the New Testament in the morning, and at night I read two different portions of the Old Testament. So Matthew and Acts right now, Genesis
By
and
portion,
Psalms.
you mean a whole chapter or just
No.
something?
No, just different aspects, and the way the Navigators put it together, it's just neat how there's kind of intertextual stuff. So that's a Bible reading, really enjoying that. It's not even really a Bible study. I'm just simply reading the Bible and loving it. Picking up, it's funny how in this role as executive pastor, my palette for reading has shifted a little bit. So I'm interested in a lot more leadership kinds of things. So I'm reading Atomic Habits. You may have already read that book.
I've heard of that book for a long time. I've never read it.
Yeah.
I've been told to read it, but I never have.
So I'm reading that. So far, so good.
Okay.
It's encouraging. Going to be reading a book. This will probably be an audio book I'll listen to as I commute. The title of the book is Chaos, and it's about, this is really strange, it's about Charles Manson, the CIA, and crazy stuff going on in the 1960s. I don't know. To me, it's just, that's really strange kind of stuff.
Why?
I heard it on, somebody referenced it on a podcast, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Like, I'll take a, so I had a free credit on Audible. Give me a free book. That's what I said. So I chose Chaos.
I'm not on Audible either.
Yeah.
I can't listen. I don't like listening to books.
Yeah, and for the year, if I can make my way through it, the Christian's Reasonable Service by Wilhelmus Abrakel.
That just sounds nerdy.
Deeply.
Yeah.
It's kind of a systematic theology from this guy in the Netherlands back a century or so ago, but it's really, really good. It's very pastoral, practical.
Okay.
Recommended to me by a fellow pastor friend in Florida. And so I said, you know what? I've got the set. I think I'll start reading it. It's 4 volumes, but I'm only looking at 1.
Okay.
Right now.
We need to have a whole episode on this. Okay, here's my question. When you listen to a book on Audible, have you read it?
I consider it read.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
I
You're
do.
an academician.
Yeah.
And you consider that being read?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I haven't
This is
always. I
did
have
not expect
morphed
that.
into that. Now, do I recall stuff from the audiobook? That's a related question, but different. When I read a hard copy of a book, I retain information better.
Mm-hmm.
I like it better. I like making notations in the margin, highlights and stuff. So capturing content, reading physical copy or digital copy, but if I can read it and see it with my eyes, I retain more. The audiobook, I'm usually not going to choose books that I'm really wanting to capture some. So, for example, I'm listening to an audiobook. I think you recommended this to me, Men Don't Run in the Rain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm listening to that. So it's like a biography of this guy's dad, and it's got some really neat principles for masculinity, for Christianity, those kind of things. And I'm not trying to capture information, but I'm trying to get some of the principles that he's talking about.
Okay.
So those kind of books, I'll consider them read, but they're really not a library book.
I feel
that
better
I'm gonna
about
keep.
that. I feel better about your answer. I was a little bit.
So Charles Manson and the CIA. I'm not really trying to capture it. It might be
trying
a
to
sermon
memorize it.
illustration someday.
Okay. All right. So I don't know what I'm reading. I'm reading a few things right now. This is interesting. One of the things I'm doing a little bit different. I just read a book recently. It was late last year that I really enjoyed. Small, kind of a quick read, short book, but it's by Kevin DeYoung. It's called Just Do Something. So I've already read it.
Great book.
Great book. But it's a book written about how to discern God's will, right? But it's manageable for anybody to be able to read and think through. Okay, how do I follow God's will for my life or for this particular thing in my life? So I read it, loved it. I've recommended it to certain people.
Because it's small. It's like
It is
100 pages.
Yeah, it's really small. But here's the thing that we've been doing with it at home. So I gave that book as stocking stuffers to all my kids.
Very
and my
cool.
wife. And I said, this is a book that I want you to read, but we're going to read it together. And so right now, every night or so, our oldest daughter lives in East Tennessee, so she FaceTimes us. We just sit around together as a family, and we're reading a chapter at a time, and we're discussing it. And so we did it last night around in the living room again. This is our second or third time to do this. We'll do it again tonight, the next chapter. And the reason why is because all of my kids are in a season of life where they're all asking those hard questions, like what's the next thing for me? What's the next big step for my life? And if it's college or a mate, or if it's whatever it is, job.
Yep.
So it's really relevant for all my kids. Would it have worked probably 10 years ago? They wouldn't have probably gotten as much from it, but they're all in a season right now where it's relevant for them. Great tool to use
So
that
good.
way. And
Can I just confess right now that
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of Kevin DeYoung. If you're listening, Kev, dang. He's such a gift to the church. He's such a good writer, clear, deep.
I just read another one of his
great.
books months ago, Impossible Christianity.
Yeah.
Great
Just-
book.
He's writing all the stuff. He's got a book, Daily Doctrine. I'm like,
Yes.
man, I wish I'd have written that.
Yes,
you
I
know.
got that on my bookshelf.
Super good. Anyway, but I think that's awesome because that topic, this would be a good episode maybe for us to lean into sometime, is that, when you talk about God's will, it seems so esoteric, like how am I going to discern what God wants me to do?
Yes.
And it can also be so paralyzing, which is why I like the title of that book.
Yeah,
just do something.
Yeah.
You're going to be all right.
It's just a great way of looking at that subject. That's there's a freedom in understanding a real biblical, getting a biblical grasp of exactly what that means, because we put a ton of pressure on ourselves when it comes to the will of God, and this book is a really big help. So anyway, I recommend it. I'm reading. I read multiple books at a time,
Yeah,
so it takes me forever. I'm a slow reader. It's awful. I'm a slow reader. But anyway, a really good book right now that you have read part of. I don't know if you've read all of it. I'm trying to get my way through it, and it's really good. But it's called The Reason for Church.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, great book.
It's in the stack, but I'm waiting.
Well, the guy who wrote it, I don't have time to talk about it, but the guy who wrote it kind of as a response to about a decade ago. He read The Reason for God by Tim Keller. So when he read that book, it was great. But he says in our culture now, we're not as much facing a crisis of belief in a God,
Like spirituality.
Yeah, now it's a crisis of institutionalism.
Yeah.
People have just kind of, a lot of people in our culture right now are just avoiding, or they're reacting against or rejecting any kind of institutionalism, meaning the church. So he writes, he read The Reason for God. It meant so much. Now he wrote The Reason for Church, this guy, as a response, not a response to, but as a kind of he loved Tim Keller's book. Now he's talking about the love for the church, and it is fascinating. It's a great book.
It's a good one. I've only read one chapter.
Yeah, the
in
one
that
chapter.
book, and
I remember I'm standing in
mind.
my office one day, and so I'm standing there, and I'm talking to my ministry assistant about something. So I see you coming down the hall, and I see you just coming with purpose, and you got a book in your hand. And I thought, what is he doing? What is he coming? He's like, you're on track, looking at me down there. So you come into my office, and you said, you have homework. And you handed that book to me, and I'm like, well, okay. So you said, read that chapter.
Just this chapter.
Read that chapter. So I went home, read that chapter, great chapter, read it that night, and then started into the next chapter thinking, okay, I got to get this book.
Yeah.
So.
And then we mentioned it, and one of our other pastors bought it. He's already read it.
Of course he has. And I know exactly who that will be. He's already read it probably within about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, great book. So I'm reading that one too. I got other things that I'm reading right now that I won't necessarily go into, but I probably could recommend. One of the fun things I'm doing right now is I'm reading this is probably year ago now, year and a half, I don't know, year and a few months ago, where the pastors at Germantown Baptist Church gave me a gift, a birthday gift of a set of commentaries, which are really, really good. Martin Lloyd-Jones commentaries. And I'm reading just devotionally. It's commentary on Ephesians. Oh man, it's good.
It's rich.
And I don't read it every day, but I'm feeding off of it, and I'm still in Ephesians 1. I'm like in
I
chapter
can verify
1, verse
it,
8 or 9.
because I'll come into your office some mornings and I'll see you sitting by the window, and yeah, you got your Bible right there. You got Lloyd Jones, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you're still in chapter 1.
Yes,
Like,
man.
yeah.
Just feeding, just rich. And he's kind of, the way I refer to it, he's kind of like he's become kind of a friend. Lloyd Jones is, because I got his book right there, and I'll just spend some time with it. And think I'm letting him kind of teach me through that commentary. It's really, really
Because
cool.
there's only, 5 more volumes after
5
that?
more. I'm never going to make
incredible.
it, but I'm so slow anyway. But I'm
That's
just
rich.
using it as kind of devotional, so I don't really have I'm not going to read this whole chapter. I might read 2 paragraphs, get a lot out of it as I'm reading Ephesians 1, thinking about it anyway. So I'm reading that.
I love that.
So anyway, there's other things, but okay. Well, that's the Gospel Rain podcast. That's
do
the
it.
final segment. So anyway,
More to come.
Yep, more to come. Thanks for listening to the Gospel Rain podcast. We'll be back next week with our very first official episode, and that episode will be a discussion about senior pastor, executive pastor role within a church, what that means, how those two work together, because we've had to learn our way through that too, still learning, and then kind of how you got to Germantown Baptist Church as the executive pastor. We'll talk about all that next week. So good to see you. We'll see you back next time on Gospel Rain Podcast.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Gospel Rain. Find us online at germantownbaptist.org/Gospel Rain for more information and a full list of our episodes. We hope you'll join us for another conversation next week on Gospel Rain.